Hey everyone, this is Certified High Performance Coach Michelle Weimer here, and welcome to today's Wisdom Wednesday. It is a very cold day here and snowy, so I'm doing my best to keep warm. And I'm actually really excited to talk about today's topic because, hey, tomorrow is Halloween, the time when all the ghosts and goblins come out. And of course, we've been talking all month about fear and the things that scare us. And so today, I want to wrap this all up by really shedding some light on our fears. We got to think like, are the fears we have really the scary monsters that we make them out to be? Or are they unrealistic fears that we create in our minds? And the truth is, there are probably very few monsters who really warrant the fear that we have of them. So a couple of simple questions I want to start today's conversation with, I want you to think about is, what are you afraid of? Like, what are you really afraid of? And are you ready to conquer that fear? Really powerful questions. So what I would encourage you to do, if you take some time a little bit later today, or maybe right after you finish watching this Facebook Live, and journal on those two questions, like, what are you afraid of most? And I'm going to help you with that in a second, with how to really think through that and get some clarity. And are you ready to commit to overcoming that fear? And like, that's just a simple yes, no. Like, I'm ready. I'm ready to commit to overcoming those fears, to shedding the light on the monsters, and moving past that so that I can start getting back on the road to creating the dreams that I have and the life that I desire. So I keep mentioning, like shedding the light on the monsters. So I want to talk about that a little bit. And, the reality is, our fears are not real ghosts and goblins. They're probably more likely maybe ghosts from our past. Perhaps things like a bad experience, a past bad experience, a past failure, past pain that you have had, maybe from humiliation or judgment or rejection. I know those things are real. Like, those things really hurt, and they are things that we become scared of. But what happens is, the more that we focus on, like that experience, those past ghosts, they start to grow and they start to get bigger. Our fear feeds those scary things, and then those monsters just get bigger and bigger. Or maybe for you, maybe it's those voices in your head, right? Like the voices that tell you that you're not good enough, or that you're gonna fail if you try, or that you'll never be enough or have enough or do enough, that you'll never succeed, that you'll never be happy, that you'll never be loved, right? Like, those are scary. Like, just saying those, they feel fearful. But the reality is, those are things that we create for ourselves a lot of times. Those are our limiting beliefs that we have about ourselves. And they are, quite frankly, things that, until we bring light to, look like monsters, and they continue to grow. So again, that concept of bringing the light to it. So let me explain, or give you a metaphor. If you remember when you were a child, or maybe if you have small children, you've had an experience where you see something in the night, you see something in the dark, and it's scary. And your imagination starts running and going wild and creating this big, scary, fearful monster. But when you turn the light on you realize, oh, it was just that shirt hanging in the corner, or, that stuffed animal, or that chair, or that whatever. It's like, when you shed a light on the thing that your mind starts to turn into this big, scary monster, this fear, you realize things are not as scary as they appear in the dark. So how do you shed a light on your fears? Here's your steps, okay? And I want to really challenge you to do this, again, either right after you finish watching this, start journaling, or take some time, make a commitment to take some time this week to go through this process. First of all, identify at least one fear that you have, okay? And so how do you do that? You might do this by starting to ask yourself what if questions, like, what if I take this risk or do this thing that I've been fearing, make this change? What might happen? And as you start to write out the what ifs, you can start to look for themes, common themes or patterns of what's really showing up for you. So for example, like, what if I take this risk and put myself out there on Facebook, right? Facebook Live, like that can be scary. I mean, I'm not gonna lie, it was scary for me when I first started, and I still feel a little twinge of fear. And here's the thing, fear's not all bad, because sometimes it motivates us to do something. It gets us moving, it kind of kickstarts us. But it's when we let it paralyze us and overtake us, and then we don't take actions, that's when it becomes a bad thing, right? So again, like, what's the common pattern here? Well, so maybe, again, an example of getting on Facebook Live. Being on Facebook Live is not really scary, but what could be scary is, what will people think of me? What if they judge me? What if they think I'm an idiot? What if they look at me and go, wow, you know, she's got wrinkles, or this or that? Like, start to look for the pattern or the theme in what's really happening for you, what that fear really is. So are you fearing judgment? Are you feeling, you know, that you might embarrass yourself? Are you feeling that you're not good enough to be putting yourself out there? Those are the deep fears. Those are the real monsters, and you're feeding them every time you start to get into this what if conversation with yourself. So you got to really go, okay, identify that fear. So as you start to consider those answers that bubble up, again, look for those themes, and then ask yourself, are any of these fears truly things to fear? Like, are they life-threatening? Probably not. Are they going to hurt you or your loved ones? Are they irreversible? You know, if I do this is something that I can never take back, I can never fix, or, you know, again, because failures happen, right? Like, you might not always be successful at something you try to do, but can you fix it? Can you overcome it? And if you can answer yes to those things, fantastic. You know, when you really look at it, most fears, again, they're perceived. We start to make them bigger than they are. They're not life-threatening. They're not irreversible. They're not gonna really hurt us. Could they be uncomfortable? Yeah, sure, right? Like, it can be, but it's not overcomable. So this is where you turn the light on that fear or that imagined fear, and you really start to identify, like, you know what, this isn't real. This is a fear, yeah, sure, but it doesn't have to paralyze me. It doesn't have to hold me back. I can move forward. And then you start to identify that step. You turn the light on. What is it that I want to do? No matter how big, no matter how small the fear is, there's always a small or a big step that you can take to move past it. So start there. Take that first step, figure out what that first step is going to be. So again, maybe if using the example of getting onto Facebook Live, hey, you know what? If that's a fear you have, start small. Just put yourself out there. Get on there for a few minutes. Tell a couple friends. Do it in a small step. Take that action. And what you're going to find is, again, turning that light on it, taking that first step, you realize, you know what? It wasn't so bad. It's not as scary as I thought it was. This thing that I've been fearing, this monster in the corner that I've been growing because I've been feeding the fear, once I turned the light on it, once I started taking steps, not so bad. Not so horrible after all. So again, I really want to challenge you to shed some light on your fears this week. Sit down and see what's been paralyzing you, what's been holding you back. Know that that scary monster is really most likely your limiting beliefs or your ego's best efforts to keep you playing safe and small. But the truth is, not taking action can be the biggest thing to fear of all, because if you don't ever take action, you don't ever move forward. And if you don't move forward, you're not going to reach your dreams. You're not going to achieve your goals. So again, I really want to challenge you to do that this week. And you know what? If after you've taken these actions and you start giving it a try, you still feel paralyzed by fear, you still feel that those monsters are overcoming you, let me know. I would love to help. Consider it your own personal ghost busting service. Let's connect and let's do this, because the more you continue to feed those fears, the more they grow. When you stop feeding them, those monsters shrink and they go away, or at the least you realize how small they really are, and you are more powerful than that. So until next time, next Wednesday, I want to wish you a happy Halloween tomorrow, right? Like, go out and have some fun with those ghosts and goblins and conquer those monsters, because you truly are powerful enough to do it. And those monsters that you fear are not big enough to keep you from your dreams. So again, until next time, this is Certified High Performance Coach. Thank you so much for joining me for today's Wednesday Wisdom, and goodbye for now.